draw from provincial and national disasters as well. So similarly, at the provincial, that would be the same case as well.
And you did also mention, of course, Minister, just staying on a briefing, that you've spoken about the government's plan to improve, of course, service delivery, and how you also aim to stop service delivery protests. But how do you plan on going about that?
Let's not just talk about plans, because plans are important, are about the future. Right now, as we speak, government work is focused. Every year, municipalities get municipal infrastructure grants, which we manage, which we follow through to see whether it's been spent for infrastructure purposes and in what way and so on. So many of the bridges, many of the repair of infrastructure, of roads, that is happening now as we speak. People can attest to that in their neighborhoods. When you travel around the country, you yourself notice the stop-go that is happening as a result of road construction. In the main roads, in the provincial roads, in municipal roads. That's infrastructure that's happening now, including public infrastructure that is being done to introduce rapid bus services in major cities and to introduce other forms of training, the building of trains in Mpumalanga to be able to carry coal and so on. That work is ongoing as we speak. What's in the plan is the continuation of that work so that we increase its implementation, its assessment, but most importantly, the lessons we are learning in the implementation of current infrastructure, for example, is how we must insist on having the leadership of all government departments and at municipal level especially, to prioritize maintenance. Not only maintenance, but also in the manner in which the work is being done, that it must be done to reduce any maintenance that might be necessary in the future, meaning the quality of materials that are used, the location of what is being done must be such that it takes on board the potential for disaster in the future. So that planning process is what we are doing to ensure that, in other words, we are mindful of the environmental impact. We are mindful of climate change, that given the nature and heavy impact of climate change in how the extent to which rains, for example, you have much more freak floods than you had in the past. You have much more intense fires than you had in the past, and so on and so on. So where people locate themselves, the quality of materials used to withstand fires, but also to be able to withstand the pressure, bridges that are built of rushing water and so on. Those are all considerations that that we are forced to take on board because of these changes in climate. But most importantly, even individual families, individual communities need to be cognizant of where they locate themselves when they do that, okay? But also so that we do not risk what we have with the limited resources we have by the unwise decisions we take about where we locate ourselves. For example, there are places where people put together shacks in such a manner that ambulances can't go in, all right? So when there's a disaster, a family disaster, we have found that ambulances or police vehicles have not been able to have access into these informal settlements because of the way in which people located themselves and so on. Of course, this requires prior work by the municipality to be firm and forceful in preventing people from doing that. Okay, so it's a combination of the two. People themselves, but also the municipality and the system of governance must be such that they can act proactively. It will not be comfortable to some of the people who will claim they are being victimized when in fact they are being prevented from taking dangerous decisions that will not only lead to their lives and property being lost, but the entire community as well, and the loss of resources that should be going to improve the quality of lives of people. So those actions are important pieces of work that we are doing. In the plans, for example, we are finalizing what we call an integrated urban development framework, studying the migration patterns, people moving from rural areas to towns and cities, from poor to richer areas and so on, as a strategy for fighting poverty. But the manner in which they are received in these areas is not the best. So we must work out ways in which we can receive them so that they don't find themselves in precarious conditions that makes them vulnerable to the vagaries of the weather and so on.
Thank you so much, Minister Lechesa Tsenoli. Thank you for joining us on AM
Thank you
News.
very much, ma'am. Thanks.
Right.
Yeah.
That was Corporative Governance.